Hey guys, welcome back to World of Warships. Today we're taking a look at the Kings of the Sea event. Normally with Kings of the Sea, it's just a tournament and maybe there's some Twitch drops for people watching, but other than that, it's mostly for the players. However, this time is a little bit different. They're actually adding stuff to the armory specifically for this Kings of the Sea tournament. And crucially, you can get previous iterations of these special camos. So the Vermont skin, which looks like a spaceship, or looking at Holland Kings of the Sea camo, the Guden Leeuw has that Halloween-like one, and of course Colombo this year is getting its own special camo. Unfortunately, I don't have it on my account to show you guys, but here's some video footage of what it looks like. It is called Salt and Stone. So if you're interested in that, you can get that in the following Kings of the Sea event, which is coming up. There's still time, though, to register if you actually want to play Kings of the Sea. I'm mostly going to go over this event from a viewer's perspective or just a normal player's perspective, but highly recommend you join a tournament sometime, especially if you play clan battles. Kings of the Sea is really fun. Played it a bunch years ago and had a great time doing so. Sign-ups are available until October 29th by the looks of things. It's a lot more competitive than even clan battles because you're picking your ships and your maps per map. So it's not about finding a strategy that generally works across a lot of maps. It's about fine-tuning specific strategies for specific maps and even counter-picking against certain opponents if you know what they like to run. There's a lot more to it than just regular clan battles even. I really enjoyed it, and if you're interested in competitive play at all, highly recommend you give it a go. You get a good group of friends, and you can have a lot of fun in it. But for those of you who don't want to play in a massive tournament where you got to practice a lot to even compete, you just got to watch some of the tournament on Twitch, and you will get some drops, which will allow you to get this Colombo camo. Specifically with this one, you have to watch on the final day of the tournament. I'm going to link down below the article that Wargaming put out where you can see all of this. But on the 4th day of internationals, so that's when all of the servers compete against one another, the best team that won each regional section, they'll all play against one another. And on that last day, which is November 23rd, you're going to have to watch for 90 minutes, and that will get you a combat mission in battle or in your port, which will allow you to unlock this camo. That's how it worked in previous years, so very standard stuff at this point. But if you want to get the ones from previous years, specifically Vermont, I know a lot of people are really interested in that one. I often am using it on my Vermont in my videos or when I'm streaming, and people are asking all the time. So you can get it for 2,000 of these new King tokens. And the way you get those is by watching, of course, but also there will be combat missions, and most of those points you can earn through those combat missions. So 1,500 will be available starting November 1st. There will be a combat mission in everyone's port, so you don't have to do anything extra. It'll just show up in your port to get 1,500 of these tokens, which is almost there for these 2,000 token camos. Another 500 will be available in that article I mentioned starting on November 14th. So you're going to have to wait a while to actually get those 500 shortly before the beginning of that international stage. So you're going to have to pay attention if you really do want to get those rarest camos, the ones from past Kings of the Sea, the Vermont one, the Halland one, as well as that Guden one. And there will be another 500 tokens available as Twitch drops. So that's what you get for actually watching through this event, as well as another 300, which will be a randomized drop. And that's another thing we should talk about. There's random rewards as you're watching. And to be honest with you, this seems a little bit crazy, but you could actually get, if you're very, very lucky, on the regional stage day 4, if you watch 2 hours on November 9th, there's a 0.15% chance of just getting a key. And there's a 0.15 chance of getting a D7 Provincian just by watching. So they really want a lot of people watching by the looks of things, because this has not happened in years past. So that was on November 9th. And if we move on to the international stage, the first 2 days, just some more King tokens, so 200 and 300 on the 15th and 16th. But on that 3rd day, so that's going to be November 22nd, you watch for 2 hours. You have a 1% chance at getting a Marceau, as well as better chance to actually get some more of those King tokens. So for the most part, if you're watching, if you're playing the game, you select some of these combat missions from this article, you should easily be able to get the 2,000 tokens required to get at least one of these special Kings of the Sea camos that they have put out in the past. And this is really interesting. I'm glad that they're bringing it back. To be honest with you, it was a little weird to me that it was a one-time thing. You had to watch on one specific day in the entire year, and then this camo was removed entirely. This Vermont one in particular, pretty cool to have on Vermont, even though it's quite slow. It was funnier before because you had these rocket propulsion engines on the back before the acceleration buffs they gave this thing. So you had one of the slowest battleships with these rocket boosters. Now it makes a little more sense given the absurd acceleration that Vermont does have. And the other thing I find really interesting about these camo choices, you know, they could have made these camos for any ships, but it seems like, apart from Holland, I guess would be the odd one out, they've chosen some pretty gimmick heavy ships. So you really should know which one you're interested in. I don't think this is a situation where it's a pretty standard ship that is available. Guden, Vermont, Colombo, very gimmick heavy. And if you play them a lot, which some of them are quite popular, certainly Colombo is a bit of a menace these days with its legendary mod, as we saw in those first few clips. That ship is crazy. So to give it a special camo like this, I guess that means they're not nerfing it anytime soon. I'm shocked that Colombo hasn't had any nerfs yet, really, ever since that legendary upgrade. And now that they're getting this KotS camo, I don't have a lot of hope that they're actually going to nerf that thing, which is, it seems crazy to me. So maybe they will. Maybe they will drop a special camo like this and then nerf it, but I don't know. Maybe that doesn't quite make sense to me. I suppose it would be two different teams, though, the art team and the balancing team. Two different sides of wargaming, so maybe that could happen. But at this point, it's been so long since that ship has received its legendary upgrade. Things like Vermont, Guden as well. I don't really see them touching these ships all that much anymore, considering it's been such a long time. So if you're worried about which camo you want to select based on whether it will get nerfed or not, I wouldn't worry about that too much. The only one potentially being Colombo, simply because I wish they would nerf Colombo. That's the only one, okay? But it's been such a long time that it seems kind of ridiculous that they haven't done that yet. As for playstyle wise, if you don't have any of these ships, they are all very, very good. I really, really do enjoy Vermont. We looked at Montana the other day. I love that ship, but both these tier 10 American battleships are well worth going for. The grind to Vermont can feel a little bit worse because those guns don't perform the same. At least when it comes to Iowa going to Montana, they retain the same guns. You just get more of them. Where Minnesota, Kansas, tier 8 and 9, their guns are quite a bit worse than Vermont. Vermont is a massive upgrade over those previous two. And it's so good, it's well worth going for, honestly. Long reload, painfully slow, but 12 457s with good dispersion tends to give you some very, very good results. In this one, maybe not the best, but we had a bit of a weird game here. Surprising that we're still alive. And 40-second heal cooldown on Vermont helps it a lot, alongside that crazy acceleration. I know that they should never do this, by the way. Don't do this wargaming. This is a bad idea. But what if that acceleration was tied to that camo? It's like the only thing that would make sense as to why it accelerates that quickly. It is kind of ridiculous how fast Vermont is able to accelerate. Onwards to Guden. It's mostly an airstrike ship these days. The guns are okay, but the dispersion is not the best on them. So airstrikes are the main gimmick on this one. And with the legendary upgrade and with Conrad that we've had recently, it can get a little bit ridiculous. These strikes have 37 millimeters of pen, so obviously you want to go after battleships, as they're a large target, that have less than 37 millimeters on their deck armor. And what a coincidence, we have a Republic on our flank that has 32 millimeters everywhere. It's going to take me a bit to get used to these strikes again, as I don't play Guden very often at all. I feel bad playing it, to be honest with you. The ability to just sit behind an island and spam out strikes that, I mean, unless you have built-in crazy acceleration on your battleship, Republic is not going to have a good time here. A little bit of RNG on how many of those bombs hit, of course, especially since there is Minotaur AA that is helping him out there. But Republic, Minotaur AA, and these strikes are still getting through. Planes are so ridiculous. But that single strike there just did over 25,000 damage to that poor Republic. That is too much, man. Look at the reload we have. It's like a 45-second reload. I'm not going to complain too much about planes and airstrikes in this game, but the gimmicks that Wargaming go for to add new lines to the game are quite... Oh my, another 20k in a fire. He doesn't deserve to take that no wonder everybody camps the back of the map. That's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Colombo is another example of something that I feel bad playing these days because the SAP gimmick is just so silly. You saw me shoot a lot of AP in that game because I feel bad a lot of the time shooting SAP. We found a lot of broadsides too, so you should swap over to the AP. But some of these gimmicks, man, the lack of counterplay, I don't like it personally. So if I personally had to choose, this shouldn't impact you at all, by the way. This is just my preference, I guess. I would definitely pick Vermont. That would be my choice, and Holland, because those are two at least relatively normal ships. Certainly the 457 Overmatch, 12 guns that are accurate on Vermont is a little bit tricky to deal with as well. But for the most part, I play it much like a Montana, holding for broadside, so the Overmatch doesn't enter the equation quite as often. Guden, though, can't really tank on its own. You may think that, but the armor, at least at closer ranges, upper belt being 40 millimeters is quite nice, but the deck is 30, so Republic gets that Overmatch through on us. Makes sense, we're not a battleship in that case. But the fast cooldown heals on Guden do make it pretty tanky, allowing it to play in some more aggressive positions. Long duration fires, though, can be an issue for this ship too. It's kind of ridiculous with its legendary mod and now with Conrad. Obviously, not everyone's going to have that. That is a pretty advanced build for the ship, but got to show off some of the max power and to just play I played one game in Guden. I didn't have time for any more, and we still managed to get over 52 bomb hits and some ridiculous salvos on that poor Republic. And Holland, I haven't looked at Holland in a while, actually. Maybe I should do a more dedicated video on this thing. But it actually works pretty well still. In this case, I decided to go with a full Torp build, but you can build it as a hybrid DD as well as gunboat. The legendary upgrade allowing you to have bigger heals, more consumables, allowing you to play this open water playstyle a little bit easier. In this case, though, I'm taking advantage of the 15-kilometer range Torps that go over 90 knots, so it doesn't take long. And we catch a couple battleships in their spawn for the most part. It's really nice to have the extra range. Not only 12s, 12 kilometers is good enough at tier 10. That being the longest range of radars at this tier allows you to be a torp boat while not getting caught deep into certain radars. Having a little more range, 15 kilometers here, allows us to reach out to some of those battleships even further back. And considering the speed on these torpedoes, I find it pretty consistent to land torpedoes as long as the battleships are within range. Cruisers as well, DDs, these are very scary torpedoes to deal with. Yeah, they're not deep waters, so it's not like they appear on the side of your ship, but even if you spot them, they're coming at you so quick that it's a little surprising. The damage is quite low, though, on those torpedoes, which is why you can have such a quick reload. As for the guns, it's not a small end, so if you're thinking you're going to get this thing and this camo and all your budget small end, no, it is not the same. You don't have nearly the engine boost to give you some ridiculous acceleration, as well as the DPM is lower. You don't have a radar, so it doesn't quite play the same, but you do get better torps. Played as a hybrid is kind of how I look at it, or just a full torp build like I did here, as if I wanted to go gun build, I'd probably select something other than Holland. But at least we have some good AA in this one. I'm not going to go into it, but we got a lot of plane kills in this game, and at least Halland has the AA to deal with some of those carrier focus on open water maps. You don't have a smoke to go dark, so that becomes a bit of an issue. And at least here we do have some defensive AA and some very strong base AA values as well, allowing us to get, what, 38 plane kills since I last cut? I'm not going to show it. I don't got to go into it. Random torps into the DD, though. It's surprising how many of those actually do land. And one last time before I go here, make sure you go to that article that I have linked. And maybe you do that in-game, by the way. If you go to the news tab, you can find it here. You can even just add it to bookmarks. And scrolling down here to this token section, I'm just going to point this out again. From November 14th, you'll get a combat mission claimable in this article. That seems really strange to have the article go up like a month before. So people are going to have to look back to this article in a month to actually claim this 500 tokens mission. Seems a little bit odd to me, just some criticism there. But again, at least if you look at it in game on the news tab, you can add it to bookmarks, so then you can find it relatively quickly. And we should probably do a little bit closer look at some of these camos, just so you have a better idea of what they are. The Vermont one, looking like the space shuttle, I guess, is the idea with this one. I like it a lot. It doesn't really make a lot of sense, but I actually really like this one. Again, I'd probably go for this one first. It's even got some like thrusters on the side that do actually animate. They don't do anything, of course, but it is animated there. Colombo, I unfortunately don't have on my account to show you guys, but I do have a small clip from Wargaming that they have put up to show you guys what that one looks like. It's interesting enough, I guess. Holland's here, getting us into that more Nordic Viking camo, I suppose, at least with that icon on the side. It's a little bit less engaging, but there you go. If you're interested in Holland, you might even be able to preview these once they get into the armory as well. I know they have added that feature where you get to preview certain ships and camos in the ocean port, something like that. So you could take a look at there as well. And then Guden, I'm a little bit less of a fan of this one, to be honest with you. Went a little hard on the, I guess, Halloween theme or something like that, which I suppose is the right time. Kind of glowing like that on the dark side there. But those are the camos, and that is the event. I would not normally go over an event like this one, but considering they're bringing back some of these camos that are highly requested, as anytime I play the Vermont in particular, I had to make a full dedicated video. So now you know. Keep an eye out, and you will be able to get that camo for yourself in the next month or so. And thank you very much for watching. Maybe comment down below which one you're most interested in, but most importantly, have a great rest of your day.